So we're going to start the meeting at 7:25, and for those watching the video, we had to move from Nottingham to the SAU office simply because Nottingham has no electricity from the storm, and we do. And with that, we'll take a roll call. Let's see. So Dave Ruth?
Yes.
Karen Brigger?
Yes.
Tim Jander's here. Scott Bulger?
Yes.
Bill Mello?
Yes.
Sue Levinson is not. Peter Perrin?
Yes.
Gail Mills is not. Lauren Charette emailed me. Lorraine Furland emailed me. Bruce Patrick is not. Carol Lord?
Yes.
Brian Moynihan?
Yes.
Debbie Hendrickson?
Yep.
And Norm Finnegan.
Here.
Welcome, Norm. So for those of you who haven't met him, Norm is the new school board member on the school board in Stratford. And with that, we'll have a non-public later. Anybody want to make public comments? Nobody's really here. So let's go right away to the SAU evaluation plan that these good people have put together.
I'm working on that. I didn't want to blind you too early, so I waited to hit power.
Well, I think I'm going to move back and listen to your presentation.
And hopefully we missed them. Yep, it's coming on. All right.
You can blind yourself with them.
I don't need. I'm going to let her read.
Where's this coming from?
Does everybody have at least one copy? I know Gail is passing them out.
Does everybody have one?
They're all signed. I think we all cool. All right, great. I'm Nancy Mason. I get to be the school counselor at Stratford School.
I'm Jay Trafton, 8th grade over at Stratford. Soul Space.
And Gail Lucy, I'm the math specialist at Northwood. And we have others on our committee who are on vacation or wherever tonight. So we have 2 teachers from each school.
We started this process back in September, trying to put together a new updated evaluation plan for all staff at all 3 schools. All staff being paraprofessionals, classroom teachers, and school counselors, nurses, speech and language pathologists. So this is going to be a much more comprehensive evaluation plan than we've had in the past. And we'd like to be able to start at least with page 4, basically the chart that indicates the 3 tracks. And each of these tracks are described further after in the next pages as well. But what we tried to do is simplify it as best as possible for staff and simplify it as best as possible for administrators that are going to be needing to use it as a tool to be able to understand and make it effective for all staff. One of my goals, kind of ended up being kind of funny on the committee, but was to represent those non-traditional staff members as guidance people, speech and language people that don't have a classroom to teach in. But in the past, we were always using the same tool as classroom teachers were using. That tool is used in our professions as well, and our professions are very different, and our roles are very different in the building than just classroom. So what we've tried to do is put together this tool that utilizes a variety of programs, but most importantly utilizes Charlotte Danielson tools. All staff at all 3 schools will either have this book as classroom teachers. They will have this, and this references all of the professional standards in 4 different areas for classroom teachers to utilize in creating their goals. And we'll talk about goals in just a moment. So they can reference this, they can pull out a standard that they want to work on and improve upon across the year, across the 3 years. The other book is for those of us in non-traditional roles, guidance people, staff, paraprofessionals, nurses, speech language, reading specialists, library media specialists. All will have this book to reference their professional practice and be able to look up their own professional standards in this book as well, based on 4 areas to do those. So those tools will be available to all staff at all 3 schools to do that one. So our 3 tracks, we try to simplify as much as possible as to who would be in which track. Track 1 and 2 will be the primary tracks, and the majority of all the staffs in all 3 schools will be in. Track 3 will be utilized for those staff members that need improvement and need to improve in some area. at some point in time according to administrative evaluations and observations. Gail, you want to bring up the goals and the SMART goals that connect to each of those?
If you turn to page 7, actually, there's a little box up at the top, and you'll find this throughout the plan in different areas. We've tried to base this whole plan on SMART goals, so that as teachers work through the plan, the goals are specific, measurable, appropriate, and attainable. They're results-oriented and realistic, and also time-bound and limited. So every goal should be written with this particular focus.
The last part of this that we want to really point out is on page 12. You'll find a graph, a circle graph. And I mentioned 4 areas that are within the books. The state is going to be requiring a 5th area having to do with student progress. So planning and preparation, the classroom environment, instruction, and professional responsibility are all standards within these 2 books that all professionals have standards to follow. The next 2 10% areas are a way that we thought about dividing up that student growth goal and that student growth measurable data to have. My student growth working with children will be very different than a classroom teacher's student growth. I may focus more on the social, emotional, and behavioral part as a school counselor than I would on academic progress that a teacher might look at, reading or math progress within their classrooms. So in order to be able to do that, and looking at the state standard of making sure that we've got 1/5 being about student progress, we were looking at the student learning objectives and then whole school growth as well as to how the whole school is doing as a whole, encompassing all students. So it's kind of what we as a committee so far, 7 or 8 of us, have pretty much put together. There's lots more details within the document itself of describing each point in each part. We have some plans ahead to incorporate paraprofessionals portion of this evaluation plan, as well as continuing with putting together forms. We've started on the forms and researching lots of different places. I know I've researched all the way out into Chicago and Montana at different school districts and what they use for forms. We've just gotten onto the internet and tried to utilize as many tools as we can to bring in ideas to put together forms that will be utilized. So we're working on the forms, we're looking on the paraprofessional portion as well. And we'd like to be able to at least pilot the beginning of this evaluation plan and get teachers and staff all on board with how the evaluation is going to occur within the buildings. Catch everything else? Okay. So that was about it, unless you guys have any questions or thoughts.
This is a lot to take in. Oh, we're not going to approve this right now, are we? Until we really read it?
Well, I'm not sure you need to necessarily approve it yet anyway. We're piloting it this year, so our administrators can start providing more inclusive feedback to the staff. So I think our plan is to continue to have the committee meet. Michelle Carvalho was the administrative liaison, so obviously we need to appoint someone else for that. And our plan is to pilot it this year so the administrators and the staff become comfortable with it, utilize it through the year, tweak it anywhere we need to, and then we'll come back with a finished product probably in the spring.
I have a couple of questions. So will copies go out to everybody when school starts?
We'll do trainings in each school. What we've done in the past and what I anticipate this year is the first couple of days when the teachers are in, we'll do a presentation similar to this. They'll get copies to everybody. They're going to get the Danielson book so they can read through it if they haven't got it already. So they'll be well versed in the expectations.
Okay. And I agree with Debbie. I've had this for a few days, but most of the others haven't. And they'll all wanna go through it. If we need to, can we bring back the committee at a future
Yeah,
meeting
absolutely.
to, ask specific questions, you know, after the board has had a chance to digest it and if the board decides they would like to see, the committee come back so that we can ask questions?
Yeah.
Because it is a lot to digest, to be honest with you.
It is.
You've taken a long time to do it, and we want to give it its fairness and look at it, and not just come out of the blue. Okay.
Yep.
Does anybody have any other questions of the committee? Yes, Dave, is that you, Dave?
Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
Dave?
thank you. My question would be, as we work this pilot and we got 3 schools working together, we come with a final plan, that it will be a plan for 3 schools. No, nobody's picking and choosing what it is they want to do. So our administration will be able to work. Okay, great.
That was the goal in designing
Yeah,
it.
good.
Yeah,
That
is
makes
the
a lot of
ultimate goal.
sense.
Bring consistency to all 3 schools at least, but also to give a tool that's more specific for staff to follow, as well as give administration a chance to give more feedback to their staff for growth and professional growth.
I will say all 3 schools were well represented. They were, you know, we had people from each of the buildings, and they brought the information back to the rest of the staff for homework, if you will, and feedback. So each building is well represented through the process.
Karen?
So my question actually, Dr. Domsey, is more for you. Just in terms of the administration in the 3 buildings, understanding that there's a lot of changes there. So can you just speak to how that's going to work in terms of training with the administrators and a lot of the, I know this is important to the staff in terms of how am I being evaluated and what it means to me. But the administrators are the ones that really have to manage through it and make sure it's happening. So what is their plan for how you're going to handle that?
Actually, I think the timing is good because you've got 3 new principals coming in, and I've got an administrative retreat. When is it? Next Monday, I believe. And we'll touch base during that. We'll have it as a topic on our monthly admin council meetings. We'll have discussions individually before school starts on how we want to roll it out. So I think that the timing is really good. And each of our people coming in have some background with Charlotte Danielson models and evaluation, which is what we're utilizing anyway. So I think the timing is really good.
Good. Okay.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you very much for your hard work. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
You
you.
guys done a lot of work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So most of this came right from Daniels.
Thank you.
And then that's from Dave.
In the power space.
The charts themselves, those are,
State.
Because you're not outside.
no, they're just individual.
You're not driving
I
around.
am definitely black on it.
You can let me know when you leave, so I can inside.
That's my Indian name. Black on
All of us.
it. Gotta get some good notes. That'll be it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks. Thank you for braving the storm.
Yeah, really.
Thanks.
Hopefully it will stay dry and you guys will keep power.
Oh, okay.
All right, so next is, that's awful.
Okay, Goldilocks.
Is that one just right? Chairs in your budget?
Just right.
Is this one just right? Next thing is school board minutes.
Making a motion to approve minutes of 6/16/14, public minutes.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Does anybody have anything to bring up? I found nothing.
No, they're just meticulous.
I didn't hear that. No?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve non-public minutes of 6/16/14.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of a special meeting on 6/25/14.
Second.
Motion and a second. Anybody have anything to bring up in those? All those in favor, say aye.
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 I
So
abstain.
You abstain,
I
one
was absent
abstention.
that day.
Okay. And you abstain? Okay, 2 abstentions.
I'll abstain as well.
3,
I'll abstain as well.
4.
Yeah, me, I wasn't even here.
I don't
Wait, he
abstain.
wasn't here.
5 abstentions. You did this, Carol?
Which meeting was that?
Up in your.
Oh, we had a
Stratford.
lot of people out. Yeah, I think we only had 8 people.
That was it, Dave?
Just barely. I think so.
On the minutes?
one more non-public.
There's
You have,
the
oh,
June
which
25th.
one?
June 25th.
Oh, all right, I didn't. I'll make a motion to approve the non-public minutes of the special meeting on 6/25/14.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any input from anybody? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
How many abstentions?
I bet it's the
1,
same-
2,
it's the same
3,
list.
4, 5.
You'd like to
5 abstentions. Good.
pick an easy.
Next thing there is legal discussion. We're going to do that in a short non-public. Do you have anything non-public tonight, Dr. Godomsky?
I do not.
Okay, but that will entail legal issues, so we'll do that non-public. Next would be the business administrator's report.
Good evening. We start on the SAU financials, not the preschool ones, because I believe that's first in your packet. On page 1 of 8, we were estimating a shortfall, I want to say, of about $10,000 in indirect costs, and that fell in right there. We still have to bill for June indirect costs. I've been working with the grant coordinator this week, trying to get all the June billings up to date for those grants. Other than that, there's nothing new to note on page 1, and if you'll notice at the bottom of that page, there's were $40,000 savings of salaries, along with all the transitions that we had this year. Moving on to page 2, at the bottom of page 2, there's that $44,000 still in the New Hampshire retirement finance manager bookkeeper for that issue we had at the beginning of the year. Page 3, Dave?
Page 2, I give them fast.
Sure.
Halfway down, it says superintendent unemployment. Is that the unemployment for everybody in the building?
Yes,
Okay.
not just for him.
Okay, that's
That'd be kind of
fine.
expensive.
Are you? Because David asked that last meeting too, and you said you needed a line or something to put that in. Are you going to change that in the future, or continue to put it like that?
I can change that description if you want. It's typically just the superintendent's unemployment, so the superintendent's office.
Okay.
Put it SAU staff.
Yep.
Just relabel it.
That's a good idea.
For clarity.
Page 3. Savings in the courses and conferences from this year. $35,000 over on the other audit fees. And then savings in legal and savings in insurance.
Everybody knows what the other audit was.
The special education
Yeah.
audit that we had. Page 4, we didn't use the temporary help line. The maintenance agreements and the computer services, that was coincides with the new systems that we got upstairs. Other than that, there's really nothing new there to note. Page 5, same thing. And this, the financials are pretty much closed out at this point. There may be little things here and there, but other than that, they're pretty sound. Page 6, we had an overall savings of office supplies for $6,700. Savings in computer software of $1,000. Dave?
Question on page 6 on supplies, as I'm looking at these boxes stacked. Are we actually saving by buying stuff instead of buying it kind of when you need it? We're buying everything for the whole year there, or
Some
No.
of it's for preschool too.
preschool too?
Preschool and the SAU, so some somebody has to come and get that from the preschool.
But my question would be,
I'm
because
really
I see a lot of paper, like toilet paper, paper towels, and even in our school, it seems like they buy once for the whole year. Is there really a savings?
No, I think we actually buy
Oh,
2 or 3
changing?
times a
Okay.
year.
Good.
Yep, we don't buy, because we have nowhere to store everything here. So I know they at least do it, I know they do it twice, at least here, maybe 3.
Did we not have to pay the computer licenses? Because that's what that 322 is for, right?
Right, I think that went hand in
I'll get
hand
it.
with the purchases on P.